It's no surprise to people who work in Buckingham Palace. They saw and witnessed all this here.
It is 100% clear that there is trouble in paradise and that the marriage is not long for this world.
Viewer discretion is advised. This clip contains weapons-grade hypocrisy. No, the world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix. And don't take my word for it.
What on earth is Prince Harry doing in China, of all places?
Marries a Z-list US TV actress and he thinks he's safe in her hands?
They moved from England to get away from the scrutiny of the press, and all they do is try to get in the press in the United States.
Nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. Truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage.
So much of what Meghan is and how she is so similar to my mum.
Got to be joking.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK.
Today, Harry and Meghan torched what little was left of their relationship with the royal family and what little was left, frankly, of their own reputations.
They're the most entitled, disingenuous people on the planet.
Meghan and Harry reportedly told staff, "Don't look at us. No eye contact. No questions." Kind of demand you'd expect from a Hollywood diva, not a royal couple. But insiders claim that was just the beginning.
This is a delusional, treacherous, bitter little man who's completely lost touch with all reality.
According to staff, who allegedly witnessed it firsthand, this no eye contact rule was a clear signal. Meghan and Harry wanted total control over their environment. No direct looks, no curious glances, just do your job and keep your head down. It's the kind of behavior that had palace insiders whispering in hushed tones, trying to figure out what exactly had sparked this bizarre order. Was it insecurity? Was it a power play? Or were they just trying to protect themselves from the constant gaze of palace staff? Whatever the motivation, one thing is clear. It set the tone for a working environment that insiders say felt more like a movie set than a royal residence.
Two sources say a colleague with ties to Archetypes, her podcast, took a leave of absence after working on 3 episodes, then left Gimlet, the podcast producer, altogether. Several others described taking extended breaks from work to escape scrutiny, meaning from her, exiting their job or undergoing long-term therapy after working with Meghan.
Sources speculate that this wasn't a one-time instruction either. Allegedly, staff were reminded again and again, eye contact was strictly off limits. Some claim it felt dehumanizing, like they were working for celebrities who saw them as nothing more than stagehands in their personal drama. And let's be real, the idea of a royal couple, one who'd long championed kindness and compassion, allegedly telling their staff to keep their eyes glued to the ground? It's no wonder this bombshell rumor has people talking. The whispers only grew louder as staffers allegedly swapped stories, each more bizarre than the last. Some say Meghan was the driving force, channeling a kind of Hollywood aloofness she'd allegedly picked up from the film world. Others insist it was Harry's way of shielding them both from the constant palace scrutiny. But no matter who was behind it, the impact was the same, an air of mystery and a heavy tension that hovered over every staff interaction. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Because apparently, this no eye contact rule was only one item on a list of demands that's left even the most seasoned palace insiders shaking their heads in disbelief.
We know that Meghan has a long history of dumping those that have served their purpose. Everyone in Meghan Markle's world is expendable.
Sources claim Meghan and Harry allegedly issued a full rundown of do's and don'ts that seemed designed to keep staff constantly on edge. Whispered rumors of forbidden questions, prescribed forms of address, and even strict rules about how to greet the couple have been circulating among palace aides like wildfire. Allegedly, staff were told to greet them with an exact phrase, no improvising. Everything had to be by the book, with no room for personal warmth or curiosity. Staffers say the overall vibe was less royal protocol and more celebrity meltdown, a kind of script for how to exist around Meghan and Harry. Some speculate that Meghan's background in Hollywood fueled these demands, as if she were channeling the diva energy of a major movie star. Others argue it was a reaction to the intense media glare that had already surrounded them for years. Still, no one seems to know exactly why they felt the need to be so precise, so demanding, and, let's be honest, so controlling. One staffer reportedly said it felt like living in a fishbowl, but being told you weren't allowed to see the fish. And the fact that these demands allegedly went beyond typical royal etiquette only fueled speculation that Meghan and Harry were rewriting the rules of royal life entirely. Rumor has it, the list even dictated when staff could speak and when they had to stay silent.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK. which is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out. They should bully people in a very unpleasant way over here.
Some insiders allege that no one was allowed to ask personal questions, no matter how innocent. Others say that conversations were to be kept purely professional, with no casual banter or chatter about the weather. Apparently, even small talk was seen as a breach of the royal bubble. And let's not forget the alleged ban on spontaneous interactions. No quick hellos in the hallway, no friendly chats over tea. Every moment had to be calculated, curated, and controlled. It's the kind of environment that would make even the most seasoned palace aide pause and wonder, what exactly were Meghan and Harry so desperate to hide? But if the no eye contact and scripted greetings weren't shocking enough, there was an even deeper question swirling in the halls. Why issue these rules at all? Was it paranoia, an attempt to stay private, or something else entirely? The speculation only grew louder, and the whispers of a royal do not disturb policy left staffers reeling. Whispers in palace hallways suggest that the reason for these alleged demands goes far deeper than simple protocol. Some claim it was Meghan's way of asserting her authority, stepping into a world that's centuries old and saying, "I'm in charge now." Allegedly, the no eye contact rule was only the start of a pattern of control, a way to establish dominance over a staff that had always answered to the Queen and her heirs. But others speculate it was Harry who was driving the most outlandish rules, desperate to protect the bubble of privacy he'd been fighting for since childhood.
Inevitable divorce will be a hellish car crash in slow motion for Prince Harry, who was naive and stupid enough to think that he would be, I don't know, married to this woman for life. This woman who is famously narcissistic, social climbing, and ruthless. He thought they would be together forever. What a fool.
Insiders say it's impossible to know exactly what was going through the couple's minds, but one thing is clear. These alleged demands didn't come out of nowhere. Sources close to the palace claim Meghan had already been frustrated with the constant gaze of the media and the relentless scrutiny of royal life. Allegedly, she felt exposed, vulnerable, and maybe even a little bit paranoid. So when she and Harry took the step to create a rule book that dictated every interaction, it wasn't just about the staff, it was about creating a fortress around themselves. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Some say these demands weren't born from fear or insecurity at all. Rumor has it that Meghan and Harry were inspired by the stories of A-list celebrities who'd survived the media's glare by becoming completely unreachable. If the staff couldn't look them in the eye, the thinking allegedly went. They couldn't read their emotions, couldn't share any juicy gossip, couldn't slip up in a moment of weakness. But not everyone buys this narrative. Others claim it was never about shielding themselves. It was about power. Staffers who allegedly saw the rules in action say it felt like a performance, a way to ensure that Meghan and Harry stayed above it all, untouchable and apart from the rest of the royal machine. This idea of an untouchable couple has only deepened the divide between those who think Meghan and Harry were just trying to survive, and those who see a calculated play to control every aspect of their public and private lives. It's a question that has haunted palace insiders for years. Were these two really the victims of an unforgiving royal system, or were they crafting a system of their own? The alleged demands were only the beginning, but the reaction from those forced to comply would reveal just how deep the rift had become.
Now, the king can end this feud. Harry's right. But not by shaking hands with this treacherous little weasel. By stripping him and his wife of the royal titles that they love to use for commercial gain without doing any of the work.
Behind the grandeur of the palace walls, staffers were allegedly left reeling. According to insider chatter, the reaction was one of quiet disbelief. Whispers of shock and frustration spread like wildfire as these new orders trickled down to the people who made the royal household run like clockwork. One staffer allegedly said they felt like they'd been demoted from trusted aides to mere props in a carefully controlled stage show. The once warm and friendly environment of shared duty and camaraderie allegedly gave way to an icy chill, an unspoken tension that grew with every day these rumored demands stayed in place. But the real heartbreak, sources say, was the sense of betrayal. Many staffers had signed on to serve the crown with pride, willing to handle the pressures of palace life for the honor of serving the monarchy. To find themselves allegedly policed by a set of rules that felt more like celebrity power plays than royal tradition, it left them feeling stripped of their dignity, their roles reduced to mere puppetry. One insider reportedly described it as like being told you're not good enough to even exist in their world, and yet the reaction wasn't entirely uniform. Some staffers allegedly tried to rationalize it, telling themselves Meghan and Harry must be under unbearable pressure, or maybe they just didn't know how to navigate the suffocating expectations of royalty. But even those who tried to understand it couldn't deny the cold atmosphere it created. It was as if the heart of the palace had been frozen by this rumored list of demands, leaving staffers wondering if they would ever be seen as more than nameless, faceless figures in Meghan and Harry's carefully curated story. But if you think the rules only change the staff's day-to-day interactions, wait until you hear how the entire rhythm of palace life was allegedly thrown into chaos by these new demands.
Every week, I'm genuinely surprised by what happens with the Sussexes. There's always something that happens, and I think, well, I didn't see that coming. What on earth was Prince Harry doing in China, of all places?
The palace had always run like a well-oiled machine, schedules, protocols, and centuries-old customs all perfectly in sync. But insiders say Meghan and Harry's rumored demands turned that harmony into a swirling storm of confusion. Staffers found themselves second-guessing every move, every spoken word, every glance that might be misinterpreted as a violation of those secret rules. It wasn't just the immediate team who felt the tension either. From the chefs in the royal kitchens to the footmen in the grand halls, everyone was allegedly on edge, afraid of crossing a line they couldn't even see. According to palace whispers, the typical hum of daily life, preparing for engagements, welcoming dignitaries, even the simplest cup of tea, took on a new edge. Small talk became dangerous territory. Tasks that had once been performed with ease allegedly became fraught with fear of missteps. Some staffers claimed they'd never felt so alone in the palace. The once bustling work environment transformed into a maze of silent hallways and forced smiles. And it wasn't just about the staff either. Insiders allege that even family members began to notice the shift, with worried glances and private conversations behind closed doors about how to handle the growing rift. What's more, some say, the demands themselves seem to evolve over time, growing even more restrictive as rumors spread. Allegedly, staffers were warned against interrupting Meghan and Harry for any reason. No updates, no questions, no check-ins unless it was strictly necessary. It's the kind of environment that breeds not just tension, but a deep sense of resentment. And yet, the whispers also hint at a certain fascination, a sense that they were witnessing a royal soap opera unfold in real time, with Meghan and Harry's rumored rulebook at the center of the drama. But perhaps the most telling sign of the chaos was how it upended the palace hierarchy itself.
The person who interacted professionally with her says, I think if Meghan acknowledged her own shortcomings or personal contributions to situations, rather than staying trapped in a victim narrative, her perception might be better.
Long-serving staff, who had once been trusted confidants and advisors, allegedly found themselves sidelined or shut out. The tight-knit community that had defined palace life for generations was allegedly crumbling under the weight of a list of rules that no one had seen, but everyone feared. And as the rules kept coming, one question echoed louder and louder through the gilded halls. Where had Meghan and Harry learned to play this game? That's where the rumors took an even wilder turn, linking the couple's alleged rulebook to the world of Hollywood power moves and celebrity handlers who know exactly how to manipulate every headline and hush every whisper. Insiders began to wonder if this bizarre set of demands was less about royal tradition and more about something else entirely, Hollywood. Rumor has it that Meghan, with her years in the film and television world, may have drawn inspiration from the biggest stars in the industry. Allegedly, there were quiet comparisons to celebrity handlers and A-list PR teams who coached their clients to avoid any vulnerability, to keep every interaction under strict control. And if those whispers are true, it raises an even bigger question. Was Meghan bringing a slice of Hollywood right into the heart of the British monarchy? Some staffers described it as a culture clash of epic proportions. Here was the carefully choreographed world of royal life, where everyone knew their place and their role, suddenly colliding with a kind of star power that demanded total obedience. One insider reportedly said, "It felt like working on a movie set where the star had final say on every scene." It's a claim that paints a picture of Meghan and Harry as more than just royals. They were allegedly acting like celebrities, who saw the staff as extras, their presence purely for set dressing and not part of the real show. Of course, not everyone was convinced this was Meghan's doing alone. Some point to Harry, suggesting that he was all too familiar with the cutthroat world of the press, and that he might have seen these rules as a way to protect his wife.
The only currency they have is trashing the royal family and the monarchy. Every time they try and do something else, nobody cares. No one cared about their podcast series. Nobody cared about the polo series recently. Nobody cared about any of it.
But whether it was Harry's idea or Meghan's, the result was the same. an atmosphere that some say felt more like a red carpet event than a royal residence. And the staff, used to centuries of rigid yet warm royal tradition, were left to figure out how to navigate this new script. Insiders say that comparisons to celebrity power moves only deepened the divide. Staffers allegedly began to feel like they were caught in a performance, every interaction choreographed for the couple's protection. Some even wondered if this was Meghan and Harry's way of testing the waters, seeing how far they could push the rules before someone pushed back. But no one dared to speak up, at least not in the open. The sense of loyalty to the crown was too deeply ingrained, even as staffers whispered behind closed doors about how this was unlike anything they'd ever seen. And yet, for all the comparisons to Hollywood and the rumors of a calculated script, there was another layer to this drama that palace insiders couldn't ignore, because this wasn't Meghan's first brush with staff drama, and the alleged list of demands seemed to echo an even deeper pattern. Even more shocking were the rumors that these demands weren't always delivered face to face. According to some insiders, the rules were allegedly communicated through middlemen, an assistant or aide who would quietly pass along the orders, leaving Meghan and Harry at arm's length from the staff they were supposedly leading. It created an atmosphere of mystery, as if the couple was always just out of reach, a pair of distant figures who'd built a castle of control around themselves. But while some staffers whispered about how Meghan's alleged demands fit a pattern they'd seen before, others pointed to Harry as a key player in this drama. They say he was no passive observer, no silent bystander. Rumor has it he was right there, backing Meghan's approach or even driving it himself, because when it came to the rumored rulebook, one question kept coming up again and again. Was Harry just going along for the ride, or was he the true architect of these outlandish demands? The whispers only grew louder as staff tried to parse Harry's role. Was he defending Meghan, or was he orchestrating it all? Because if he was in on it, then the real story wasn't just about Meghan's Hollywood tactics. It was about a prince who'd once been the golden boy of the monarchy, now rewriting the rules of royal life in ways no one could have imagined.
A multi-millionaire who's raking a fortune by regularly abusing his family and regurgitating private stories in books and TV shows, while simultaneously lecturing the rest of us about not invading privacy.
Staffers who'd been in the palace long before Meghan arrived say it was Harry's involvement that truly rattled them. According to rumors swirling in the quiet corners of the palace, it was one thing for Meghan, an outsider in their eyes, to come in with demands that felt straight out of a Hollywood script. But it was something else entirely to see Harry, the beloved prince who'd once been the most relatable royal, allegedly standing shoulder to shoulder with Meghan as these demands were laid out. Some staffers reportedly claimed that Harry was the one who kept reinforcing the rules, repeating the no eye contact order and reminding them, in his own words, to respect our space. It was as if he'd stepped into the role of enforcer, trading the warm charm that had once endeared him to staff for a cold, distant tone that left them stunned. Others insist the opposite. Sources close to the palace say that Harry may have been swept up in Meghan's world, eager to protect her from the judgment and scrutiny he'd lived with his whole life. Some allege he was trying to shield her from the constant comparisons to Kate, the endless tabloid whispers, the suffocating expectations that had driven them to the edge. In that telling, Harry wasn't a tyrant, he was a husband, trying to create a safe space for his wife. But even those who believe that version can't deny the toll it took on palace life, because whether he was the architect or just a loyal partner, Harry's rumored role in these demands sent a message that no one could ignore. This wasn't the same prince they'd always known. Staffers who once traded jokes with him in the hallways allegedly found themselves met with stone-faced silence. The warm camaraderie of a palace family reportedly replaced by a frosty distance that left staffers second-guessing every move. Some say it was like watching Harry build a fortress around himself, one whispered order at a time, and the longer it went on, the more the rumors took on a life of their own. Was this really about privacy and protection, or was it about power and control? Even those who tried to give Harry the benefit of the doubt couldn't shake the sense that something fundamental had shifted in him. And just when staffers thought they'd seen it all, insiders claim there were even more rules lurking in the shadows, rules that no one outside the palace has ever seen. Because if the whispers are to be believed, Meghan and Harry's list of demands didn't end with no eye contact or carefully scripted greetings.
The dysfunctional Duchess she says she runs businesses, the woman couldn't run a bar.
According to those closest to them, there's a whole other chapter of this rule book that's yet to be revealed. The most tantalizing rumor? That there were pages of these demands, almost like a secret dossier meant to keep staff in line. Some insiders speculate that Meghan and Harry's team treated it like a Hollywood production, every detail choreographed, every interaction a performance that had to be just right. Others say the rules reflected a deep paranoia, sense that they couldn't trust anyone, not even the people tasked with serving them. The whispers are all the more explosive because of what they suggest. This wasn't about being difficult or demanding, it was about creating an environment where Meghan and Harry felt like they were in total control. And yet, the real bombshell is that staffers claim they never saw the full list all at once. Allegedly, it was delivered in fragments, passed down in cryptic instructions that kept them guessing and constantly on edge. Some say it felt like trying to solve a puzzle without all the pieces, each new demand adding to the sense of confusion and unease. Others insist it was deliberate, Meghan and Harry's way of keeping them off balance, never sure of where the lines truly were. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. The staffers caught in the middle were left reeling. But here's the twist. No matter how many staffers felt caught in the crossfire, no matter how many insiders say they were left shaken and unsure, the one thing no one can deny is that Meghan and Harry have never backed down from doing things their own way. Whether it was about survival or control, they've always been willing to break the mold, to stand apart from the system that tried to shape them. And in a world as bound by tradition as the British monarchy, that's either an act of defiance or an act of self-preservation. The real question now is what happens next. Are these rumored demands just a footnote in the couple's dramatic departure from royal life? Or are they a sign of something deeper, something that will continue to shape how Meghan and Harry live out their royal rebellion? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, this story is far from over. And with each new rumor, each new whisper of how Meghan and Harry are rewriting the rules, the legend only grows. So what do you think? Was this all about shielding themselves from prying eyes? Or was it a power move that went too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep up with the drama,